I think a lot of Americans are aware that there are people living without running water, but they think it happens only in other countries when, in fact, in the US, there's over 2.2 million people without running water or a flush toilet at home. Starting my work on Navajo was actually a little bit of an accident. Actually, DigDeep started as a project helping people get water. And one day I got a call from a woman who had been doing a Habitat for Humanity style project on Navajo, building houses. And they were building houses without kitchens and bathrooms in places with no running water. And she was so floored by this that I think she made a list of water organizations and started kind of calling down the list. But I was also so intrigued to find out that I had been working on this issue abroad and that it existed right in my backyard. So I got in the car with this woman, a complete stranger, and drove just 10 hours from my front door here at home to an office on the Navajo Nation where I met with Navajo officials and community members and found out that nearly a third of Navajo don't have running water at home, that they're hauling water every day from springs and lakes and streams, which are becoming more rare. And often the water they have access to is contaminated with industrial or even sort of uranium. When most Americans think about places without running water, they don't think of the US. They think of sub-Saharan Africa or Latin America, but right here we have almost 2.5 million people that don't have taps or toilets at home. That doesn't count the tens of millions of more that are relying on dirty water that's gonna make them sick. And I think in a country as wealthy and as advanced as ours, that's a real injustice, one that I'm really focused, along with many other people, on solving. So I've spent the last 10 years or so really trying to understand the complexities of the water challenge on Navajo. Nothing about it is easy. So you have about a third of the population without running water at all. If they're lucky, they're buying it at the store, but a lot of people are melting snow in the winter or pulling it from a livestock pond or a trough, water that is probably gonna make them and their families very sick. And then you have these sort of two competing forces. You have contamination and you have climate change. More than 90% of surface resources have disappeared on Navajo in just the last 100 years. And then you have a legacy of contamination from mining, especially uranium mining, industrial work, and that's making the readily accessible groundwater at the very top of the groundwater table more contaminated, meaning again that whatever water people are leaving their homes to get for themselves is becoming harder, dirtier, and more scarce. The most important thing they can do is stop the contamination now. And that means being really deliberate about how they're developing industry, how permitting works, making sure the right environmental protections are in place. And then coming along behind that, it's about cleaning up what's already there, and really that is the more complicated challenge. I mean, some of the places we work at on Navajo have the highest concentration of EPA Superfund sites in the country. More than, I think, 550 abandoned uranium mines that haven't been cleaned up, for whom there's no sort of company to take accountability. There needs to be an effort to clean up that groundwater table. And that's gonna require a lot of money, some technological innovation, but I think the most important thing is to stop the contamination now.